Everyone has a lot to say about Amazon's Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2 so far. What did we think?
What did you think?
And what should anyone think when they see a pile of oily black spaghetti crawling across a snowy landscape? All this and more coming up on Bustin' Blockbuster. Welcome back to Bustin' Blockbusters. My name is Matt. I am joined by Priscilla, who has her own YouTube channel that you should check out at Priscilla TV1 on YouTube. And we are here to talk about Amazon's The Lord of the Rings of Power Season 2. The first 3 episodes have been released to the world. Some people have seen all of the episodes, from what I understand, but not us. I've only seen the first 3. Well, I can't speak for Priscilla, but I've only seen the first 3. So we're going to be offering spoilers about all 3 of those episodes. If you haven't seen them yet, go to Amazon Prime and watch those episodes and then come back and check us out. We're going to be talking about Elven Kings Under the Sky, which is episode 1, and Where the Stars Are Strange, which is episode 2, and episode 3, The Eagle and the Scepter. Let's see. The first one was written by Jennifer Hutchinson. The second one by Jason Cahill. The third one by Helen Shang. Charlotte Brandstrom and Louise Harper kind of shared the directing duties on some of these. It looks like Charlotte Brandstrom did all of the first one, and then her and Louise Harper shared on the second one, and then Louise Harper got the first credit on the third one, but still both of them are credited. Anyway, let's get right to it. Let's rate these 3 episodes as a whole, Priscilla.
Yes.
Let's start with you. What would you rate these 3 episodes together as a whole? Because it did kind of spread out over all of the storylines and everything. So what do you think?
Yeah, first of all, I rated them separately, and then I made an average. So the average would be a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Triple S.
Triple S?
Yeah, sizzling sexy Sauron.
Oh.
It's like, I mean, Sauron, let's be honest, he is not a cliche. He's not a small town boy trying to make big in a big city. He is actually a celestial being that graced us with his presence. So naturally, we should all recognize his power and bow to him. Instead, he ends up trying to hype himself to a bunch of orcs, and they were not having it. So it was kind of very cringe to see him trying to hype himself, and people like, oh, maybe he is right. And then he says, well, some of you will die. It was like, oh my God, Sauron, you're so dumb. You're very handsome, but very dumb. So he ends up being killed by a mob of orcs. And then he spends centuries like in this state of some sort of evil bull. And then, I mean, give the guy a break, So that's why I made everything about him in my rating, because I was really touched by his struggles. And now I understand why when he met Galadriel, like under those terrible circumstances, that he was like, oh, maybe my luck is changing. Maybe things will go back to normal and people will start recognizing my power and my greatness again. So Sauron, he made himself great again.
Okay. I think Priscilla has fallen under Charlie Vickers' spell. I mean, how can you not like Sauron when it's Charlie Vickers, right? Me, I'm very close to you. I didn't do the individual ratings and then average it. I just kind of said, okay, I'm looking at this as one big first episode, really, because of the way the storylines are spread out. And I gave it an 8.9. Originally, I considered the triple B scale.
Triple B's?
Yeah, Bye Bronwyn.
Oh, yeah.
But then I went to the double D scale.
Double D?
Yeah, that's dupe dwarves, because they've fallen for Sauron's spell, just like you have, Priscilla. They're gonna provide some mithril for the guy to make some rings. Not good. Not good, ladies and gentlemen. We all know where this leads. One ring to rule them all is what's going to happen if you know anything about the story. And looks like the dwarves are going to participate as well. Because
Yeah,
even though I do respect that Durin is a little bit hesitant about it, it looks like
a
Dad is
little.
going to go ahead through with it.
Yeah, he saw right through Sauron. He was like, "This guy is full of shit." Sorry.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
like,
Yes.
yeah,
And, I looked at kind of the individual storylines and I thought some of them are better than others. Some of them I enjoyed following better than others. I always love the dwarves. There is no stopping me from loving the dwarves. The way that they have done the dwarves on this show really makes me
yeah.
see them in a way that's much more endearing than I ever did watching the Lord of the Rings films or reading the
Yes,
books.
yes. That was like the consensus of the first season, that if there was something that was very good, it was how they portrayed the dwarves. And yeah, they are very cool, especially Durin. I really love Durin. He's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. And then Adar, I could care less about, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if it's because they've changed actors and I'm just not as invested or whatever. But his plight just doesn't matter to me. I enjoyed the Sauron flashback. That was 20 minutes of just glory, especially if you're a Charlie Vickers fan and a fan of black oily spaghetti. But it was wonderful to see all of that kind of put into place. I don't know that I really needed it, but I thought it was a great way to start out the season for sure. To get everybody caught up, it kind of tells you what this guy's all about without having to. Uh, well, they spent there was like a 3 minute season three recap or season one recap on the front of it, but nonetheless, I enjoyed that. I and this is going to sound weird. I found myself most invested in what's happening at Pelargir. I really
Oh,
enjoy seeing the fleshing out of Isildur a little bit. I'm
mm-hmm.
intrigued by Estrid, and the fact that she's kind of a dark agent. Um,
Yeah.
and then I hate to say it, but I actually thought a lot about Theo this time around, and now it looks like he's with Ints and all of that other stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to that storyline overall.
Yeah. I don't know. I had the exact opposite feeling.
Oh, okay. Well, you said you averaged
Mm-hmm.
your episode rating. So was there one episode that stood out or another episode that stood out as stronger or weaker to you?
Yes, I did it a little bit differently this time around. Instead of like seeing like what the narrative is doing, what the plot is doing, the characters, if they're consistent and so forth. What is if there are some um, like major plot points, or if it's dragging. I didn't take anything of this into consideration when I rated the episodes this time. And instead, I was just like, am I getting, is this engaging? Am I engaging with this? Do I enjoy this part of the story or not? So basically, what I think, my feelings is like episode one for me was my favorite.
Okay.
Because we ended season one. Let's be honest, like it was a good season, but it was confusing. Like their choices, the way they did stuff, like they chose to change canon sometimes, but for things that did not add anything that I felt. No, sometimes I think it's good to change canon a little bit, so you can add a little more drama here or like spice things up. But I didn't see any gain for any of the
Okay.
changes they made. Instead, the big things that I think they did very well in season one were like trying to expand on what Tolkien already left behind. Because,
Okay.
for instance, with the hobbits, we know the Harfoots are a set of hobbits, so they take this description and they try to, okay, this is the possible origin of the hobbits. This, This was good. But for instance, the episode 1, they just tried to answer the things that were not clear in season 1, and it answered like as well as it could be answered. There's a slight thing with Sauron, for instance, in the episode 1, where I didn't expect his rule to be contested, but and I thought, is this in contradiction to season 1? Because like Sauron actually appears in the first episode. Remember in season 1 when Galadriel is telling about the first age, and we see all the orcs bowing to Sauron, and he has his armor on. But it's not contradictory if you think that like Galadriel is actually an unreliable narrator. This is how she imagined that things happen. But then you go and all the season 1, you see that actually Sauron is not even there in Mordor. It's Adar who is there in Mordor. No? So she's imagining that she's trying to get Sauron, but actually she finds Adar in his place. So how Sauron got there, and this, I think it was very nice, because also for Tolkien there is this whole discussion that Sauron was actually remorseful after everything that happened, and then you see like in this retelling that his remorse was actually self-serving, because when they are on the boat and actually he steals the pouch of the man, you think that guy who is actually Posca from Rome, like the greatest of HBO series. He was and Kieran Hinds, he's also from Rome. He's also in this season, and you see that like this guy is trying to help him without knowing, without judging, and he's a very cool guy. He's giving him a second chance, and it's like, yeah, maybe Sauron is wrong, but no, he's like, when the get gets good, he will always choose Sauron. So in short, the first episode I was like, whoa, this is very good, because it's like filling me in all the different places where I was lost. Then you go to episode 2, so I rated like a 9.5 episode 1.
Okay.
And episode 2 was very good, that you had the deep dive, like you saw Giza and Durin. This is always a positive. You saw Narvi, which is like for any Lord of the Rings fan, this is like pure gold. Like it's like a dwarf that is very renowned for a friendship with Celebrimbor. They did things together. And you have Kiadam, which is also like for fans. It's simply divine to see him with the beard and everything, and he is played by Ben Daniels. That it's like a great actor. He was in Foundation, the second season of Foundation. He's perfect.
And Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Ah, yeah, okay. And then you had these shout outs to the First Age, and even to Valinor characters like Humil and Daeron. So like emotionally strong for us fans of the work of Tolkien. Then you go to episode 3, and that's like where it's deep for me. I put like 8.5, because it was all about Númenor, and frankly, I really hate Erin and Pharazôn, and I was like, I cannot with them. They are so like, oh God, they're so sleazy, and the whole thing with the ego is like, oh my God, the Numenors, they are so dumb, so stupid. So it's a struggle to spend time with stupid people. So that's why it dipped a little bit. So like if you go for average 9.5, 9 and 8.5,
that pretty much ranks them, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why.
All right. Well, I think the Isildur thing pulled episode 3 a little higher than 2 for me.
Okay.
But I still agree that the first episode was the best out of all of them. It brought you right back into the world in a great way, and explained some things, like you said, that maybe there had been some confusion about. I'm constantly confused when I watch this show because I don't know enough of the lore. You just said some names that I'm kind of like, who's that? So you're going to have to help me as we go along this season. Nonetheless, yeah, I think I would go 1-3-2, but who cares what I think? Really? I mean, I care what Priscilla thinks, but who cares what I think? So tell me what you think, folks, at Bust Blockbusters on the social media, or you can send emails to mattsaudioblog@gmail.com, or you can reach out to where you're seeing these YouTube videos. Look for the word double, the letters PHQ across all social medias. I think you can use that for YouTube now as well. But if not, search for double P media, the word double, the letter P, the word media, all strung together. And don't forget that you can always comment. Priscilla is doing her own reviews each week as well. So be sure to check out her reviews, especially if if you speak Portuguese. But the translator works pretty well. That's how I watch her videos. Anyway, at Priscilla TV1 on YouTube there. Let's we've done a lot of like serious discussion. Let's have a little bit of fun before we get into any other serious discussion. Let's play What's Worse. Okay, so what's worse, Priscilla? You're going to tell me, and I'm going to disagree with you somehow.
Oh my God. I always lose in this one. Oh my God.
If you're Fraudwaith Sauron, what's worse, exploding into a beam of light and becoming oily spaghetti, or if you're Isildur, having or one of the orcs that was with Isildur, pardon me, having your head exploded probably by Shelob's grandma or something.
Oh, by the way, I think the actor that plays Isildur said that it was actually Shelob. They were in Shelob's lair, so it was one of Shelob's daughters there. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I thought it was one of Shelob's ancestors. I didn't think that Shelob was that old. See, I thought it was like Shelob's grandma or something like that.
I think it's possible. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know what he's saying. Like this happens sometimes. So,
True enough.
But I think I think it's worse to explode into a beam of light and become some oily spaghetti. I think as I said, what the things that Sauron had to endure for centuries, it really touched my heart. Like that one, ugly orcs could not recognize his greatness, and two, that after actually being responsible for bringing like Narnia into Middle Earth, that he actually, instead of like just fading away and become some sort of like evil, glowing, flying, very stylized spirit flying around and like being like, ooh, he actually reverted into some organic glue, and it was like a little bit Hellraiser, like the movie when the drops of blood get absorbed and then the spirit becomes like flesh again.
Yeah,
I was really, as I said, I was touched. Yeah, it was an emotional time. I felt his pain.
Okay.
So I think it was worse.
Okay. I think that it's not worse. And here's why. I think that Shelob, or Shelob's grandma, or Shelob's daughter, or whoever this spider is. Spiders are scary, man. Spiders are awful.
Sure.
And I remember watching Return of the King with Frodo having to deal with that poor Shelob. That was one of the scariest things I ever saw in my life. So anytime I see spiders, that's definitely worse. Now ones that can just like keep poking at you until your head explodes. No way. I'm not getting anywhere near any spiders like that. That's definitely worse. Not only that, but all that this opening whole sequence with Sauron showed me was that he's a chauvinist because he consumed a woman but became a man. Folks, tell us what you think. The poll is up on YouTube or on Twitter right now at Bust Blockbusters. What's the second question?
Okay, what's worse? Stealing maps and passages from your clan and following your friends while making them think you're a bad follower? Or only bringing honey biscuits to eat into a desert waste?
So this is in the Harfoot haters section right here.
Do you still hate the Harfoots, by the way?
No, I don't. I don't. I'm just playing here. But Harfoots do some strange things. Poppy, for instance. What I'm going to say, bringing honey biscuits. What's that going to do? It's going to dry your mouth out. You're going to want water more. Why on earth, if you know that you're following somebody into the desert waste, don't bring honey biscuits. Bring things with liquid in them. Bring fruits. Bring things that blood, sugar producing things.
So you're just like concerned about their diet. That's
well,
why you think, yeah.
I'm sure that since Poppy made them, they're probably terrible as well.
Oh my god. Poor Poppy. Well, I think stealing maps from your clan might be the worst thing here, because one, if I'm not mistaken, they already lost their guide, their leader,
their elder. Yes, they did. Yep.
So this is the second hit that group took. So like in retrospect, it's. But I don't know. I feel I trust Poppy. I think she knows better. I mean, it's worse for the clan, but not for her. So there you have it.
Well, that just goes to prove what a terrible Harfoot Poppy is. Not looking out for the clan. She's going off the trail. She's going alone. Just all those things. Poppy's just awful.
She's leaving them behind. But
yep.
As we know from season 1, leaving them behind is kind of a tradition for them. Actually, they claim not to leave people behind, but they do all the time.
All right. If you're Durin, what's worse? Letting Celebrimbor, Disa, and Sauron convince you into making a case to your dad for providing mithril for rings, or merely having to apologize to your dad, the king, when you actually did nothing wrong.
Neither. What is worse, if you're Durin, is having to eat bread from last year.
That's the winner. We don't need a discussion. We don't need a discussion. That's the clear winner. Last year's rye bread is absolutely the worst. We've summed that one up. Folks, you can vote on these polls on Twitter for another couple days, so be sure to check them out. Let's talk about the episodes. We're kind of grouping them by storylines. We got Sauron, we got Galadriel, we've got Elrond and the rest of the elves, like High King Gil-galad and Celebrimbor and all those. We've got Khazad-dûm, which is especially Durin and Disa. We've got Rhûn, which is, of course, Nori, Poppy, the stranger, this strange dark wizard that we now have, and these mages. And then we've got I kind of grouped the Númenor stuff over across the ocean and the Pelargir stuff, which is their port on this side, and then any kind of odds and ends after that. But we're going to spin the tiny wheel of topics, and Priscilla, because I can't read any of these small letters, she's going to tell me which one pops up. Let's spin the wheel. Where did it land, Priscilla? Where did it land?
All things Rome. So run, yeah.
All things Rome.
Nori, Poppy, the strange maid, strange dark wizard. Yeah.
All right. So literally the storyline that leaves us hanging up in the air.
Literally. So, yeah, that's true.
Literally, absolutely. Nori and Poppy are gone with the wind, so to speak.
Yeah, and ends on episode 2, so we don't know anything by the end of the viewing.
Right. Which is what made Isildur so compelling to me, simply because of the fact that since I didn't have Nori and Poppy to hate on, I needed somebody else to hate on, and so Isildur pops right straight up. No, I'm just kidding. So what's going on with this dark wizard here? Because he's like conjuring moss and everything. And was that the maid or the mage that was in season 1 that he had appeared
Yes.
for him? So that mage
Yes.
is not dead. It's just was Gandalf just kind of Gandalf. The stranger just kind of blew him away or blew her away.
Well, that's the thing. There is like the seen world and the unseen world. Or my theory, I don't know. I think if you go for the lore, is like there are beings that can live in the seen and the unseen world at the same time. Like for instance, Sauron, the elves too. Human beings not so much. That's why the ring race, they kind of go to the unseen world, but they were men before. So my guess is that the mage was just like banished to the unseen world, and that ritual brought her back to the seen world. But that's just my interpretation. I might be wrong. What is very interesting is that they keep hammering about his name.
Yeah.
So he thinks when he will hear his name, the stranger, that he will know who he is. And we know like the East storyline in Tolkien, it has to do with the Blue Wizards that were two, right? So the Blue Wizards, we are possibly getting their storyline here, because in the first version of the story, the Blue Wizards were sent by the Valar. They were sent from because the wizards are basically from the same order that Sauron was in Valinor. They are Mayas, they are celestial beings. But once they are sent to Middle Earth, they become a little bit less powerful. So they are known as Istar. They are wizards. So they are sent into, because one didn't want to go without the other. So they have this mission to actually influence the men from the east that were not in alignment with Morgor and Sauron, to raise against those forces, so that in the third age that they don't that the Middle Earth doesn't get attacked by from two sides. So basically, in the first version of the story, the Blue Wizards, they fail in their mission, and they become and they found cults, magic cults in the East, and they stay there. But towards Tolkien's toward the end of his life, he decides that no, actually the Blue Wizards were successful, and they managed to influence them. So my guess, and that's my theory, is that the stranger and this guy, they were sent to Middle-earth together to work on this mission, and that's why the stranger kind of has these dreams. And maybe they are going to have like the two versions of the story combined. So one went bad, the other went good, and the stranger gets banished by the one that gets bad, and now he's returning to have a face off. So that's what I think it is, but I don't know. And the whole thing with the name, I think it will create a lot of problems if they put this is Gandalf and this is Saruman. Because remember, like the canon for the third age is that Saruman was good and they didn't know that he had turned evil. So it was like a ruse, and they were none the wiser. They just learned of Saruman's treason much later on. So in this case, if this Dark Wizard is Saruman, then it makes no sense to the storyline, right?
Okay. I can see that, and I understand that point. So what you're saying is that we should ignore all of these hit you over the head kind of hints, like a Gand and all this stuff. As far as the stranger's name, I'm gonna ask.
No, I would do it if I were creating the series. I wouldn't do it, I would just say this is the Blue Wizards and give them their names as the Blue Wizards, and that's it. And then I do the two versions of the story, but I don't know them. I think that it might very well, they say they plucked the Blue Wizards story into the second age. We are going to get the story the way the story is, like combined, but because of name recognition, they are going to put Gandalf there.
Oh, okay. All right. So here's a way that maybe they could get around it that I'm just thinking. The stranger has come back once and he doesn't really know who he is. Couldn't Gandalf come back later and not know who he is and not remember any of this episode with a Saruman who doesn't remember any of this when he comes back?
Well, canonically, kind of what happened, right? When he's like Gandalf the Grey. Yes, I guess it was Gandalf the Grey, but now Gandalf the White. It's not that he lost his memory, but he's kind of like, there is, it could be.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying if
it will be a stretch.
I'm just saying
it
if
will
this
be a
particular
stretch.
Okay, if this particular character came back as a stranger this time in season 1 and he doesn't know anything about who he is or whatever, couldn't they just repeat that? Say that cycle repeated for both him and this guy if they're going to say this guy is Sauron, which I agree with you. I don't think they should do
Saruman.
that.
I don't know. Yeah. Yes.
I don't think they should do it, but I think that
I don't think they should. Yeah. Maybe what they could do is simply have this guy be a blue wizard, and maybe he killed the other blue wizard, and then they send Gandalf as like a police officer to get this guy, like in jail, in Valinor jail. Hey, this guy went rogue. Instead of like completing the mission, he turned evil and he killed his best friend, the other blue wizard. So you, Gandalf, go there and get this back here.
All right.
I think this will be my guess. This would be, if I had to go there, I would do that. But even it's kind of like a, yeah.
What else about this particular storyline? Obviously, the stranger still doesn't have any control over his powers, and he used that, what they call the Gand, successfully, but then he still couldn't control what he had done, and it ended up destroying that thing as Nori and Poppy were being whisked away. So, is any of this striking you? I mean, is the quest here for Gandalf just to find out who he is and to gain control of his powers, if that is who he is, or I don't know. I'm having difficulty understanding the point of this storyline right now. It's my big problem. I adore Nori. I actually adore Poppy. I adore the humanity of the storyline, especially those little talks about home and what have you. But it seems so far removed from everything else that it's one of those things that kind of lowers it on the rung for me. Whereas, and the only reason I like the Númenor stuff is because I like political stuff. And while this is kind of clunky and kind of klutzy and kind of heavy-handed, the fact that well, I guess we can talk about it when we get to that section, but there are things that I could pick apart about the Númenor storyline, but just as a vibe, I can take that much better as a independent storyline from the Sauron one than I can this one.
Yeah.
But I'm not a Heartfoot hater. I promise. It's not because of that.
Yeah. So should we go to the second topic?
If you don't have anything else on Rhûn.
No, it's a big like interrogation mark so far.
Okay. All right. Let's spin the wheel. Yeah, that lettering's too small. What does it say, Priscilla?
All things Galadriel.
All things Galadriel. Here's a girl who's got some troubles, man. Um, she knows in her heart that certain things are the way they're supposed to be, but at the same time, she's she's been hiding the truth from Elrond. Elrond's mad at her. High King Gil-galad doesn't exactly trust her until they move later on. Um, she's getting visions now because they say
Mhm.
it's because these rings are giving them the power of the ability to see things which have not yet passed, which is something that we've seen her have, uh, or at least in the movies. I would say
Yeah.
that we've kind of experienced that from her, where she is a little bit more supernatural with that ring on, than what we saw in season one here. So I like
Mhm.
that development, but will they? I guess the question I'm playing is how far will they tip the scale to where Halbrand slash Sauron is actually going to affect her? Will that put other characters in peril in ways?
Okay, so Galadriel, like when she puts the rings, basically the rings they enhance like already skills that an elf has. So the thing with Galadriel is like, and that's my understanding from the third age, and because of this factor that the rings they enhance an elf skill in something or like the propensity or whatever, is that Galadriel has always been a little bit witchy.
Okay.
So when Gil-galad is questioning her, so basically is that she always had this affinity for having foreknowledge, like seeing what might pass, and that the rings are actually enhancing to the point where she is actually having some sort of communication with Sauron. She seems to be like the vision that she has is, at least for me, it's implied that Sauron is trying to manipulate her, and that's what Gil-galad says. Is okay. So you have this is a two-way communication. So yes, she's right that she's the person who knows Sauron best and his motivations and like the kind of evil being that he is. But as Gil-galad and Elrond understand you, it's like this is also like he also knows you from top to bottom. So
Right.
so this goes both ways. And that's the risk, and that's like the danger of the rings.
Right. Yeah. That
That
phrase that
yeah, it
that phrase
gives
that
you power.
right. That phrase that Gil-galad said about, all you have to do is trust Sauron. The text say all you have to do is trust Sauron once, and then you're basically his, or you can be susceptible to being his.
Yeah, and
That
Aaron
that was
says like
scary to me. That was very
he
scary.
that Sauron played Galadriel like you know a violin.
Yeah, a fiddle for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So this is like, but I don't think she's wrong. The thing is that she's also not right. So
Yeah,
she's always like in season one, she was 100% right, but she went about in the wrong way.
right. Yeah,
In season two, it seems that she is neither wrong, but she's also not right. She's like, she is a danger to the elves, but she's also like their greatest weapon against Sauron. So, and that's why Gil-galad puts Elrond with her, and that's why she wants to have Elrond with her, actually.
yeah.
So, I mean, she's more, she's more. I wouldn't say sympathetic because I was not a Galadriel hater in season one. Which fun fact, most of the girls the women that watched the season one, they actually like Galadriel more than the men. So, but I think that she's more like she recognizes that she screwed up big time, and she wants actually to take ownership of her mistakes and actually work. So that's why she's listening to people. And she's listening to Gil-galad, and she listens to Aaron. And I also like that Gil-galad is listening to her. So they were having a conversation after he calmed down. They actually had a very nice conversation about what to do. And they came up with something. And they, and first she tried to convince Aaron, and then Aaron came about. So right. I think it's one of those storylines that I actually feel that they have a strong control right now. Okay. So I wouldn't say course corrected, but I think they already know what they want to do with Galadriel. The actress knows what to do with Galadriel, and they are going with it.
All right. Let's go ahead and roll another topic that's on the wheel. We'll just not spin for it. The Elrond and the rest of the elves, since we're talking so much about all of this kind of flows together. Let's have not a council of Elrond, but a council of El Camino, the car, which is my favorite car from the 1970s.
Never heard of this car.
The council of El Camino shall begin. The dwarf, Matt, shall start talking about the problem of, was using the rings to restore Lindon the right thing to do? So, I mean, you've got all different kinds of viewpoints here. You've got Team Elrond, who's basically saying, hey, we don't have any idea how much influence Sauron has over these rings. We should not use them. We should get rid of them. Then you have like Team Gil-galad, who says, yes, Sauron's here, man. If Sauron's here, that means the rest of the world is in peril. We can't stay unless we use them. And then you have like Team Galadriel, who says, there's nothing wrong with those rings. Give me one. Give me one. There's nothing wrong with them. And then you have Team Círdan, who's like, hey, look, I don't know if they're good or bad or whatever, but something rocked my boat, which told me that I should not get rid of these rings. And I put one on myself. And I'm not sure if I've been influenced or not. I don't really care. But here's the rest of them. Use them. Just try them on. Let's see what happens. So was it the right thing to do? What was Lindon, restoring Lindon? I mean, I personally kind of side with Team Gil-galad here. It's just like, well, you can't do nothing against Sauron if you're not here. So you kind of got to do that step first, and then hope. On the other hand, Elrond is also right to me, because he says, if you do this step, all of Middle Earth may be lost anyway, because we might all just become agents of his. So, I mean, what do you do there in that situation? Did they do the right thing? It was pretty, but was it right?
Yeah, so with Elrond, I feel that he's got the right idea that the rings are dangerous, but like obviously it's not, and it's not even with hindsight, because we know that they are actually meant to use them. But I think that he's a little bit extreme in his position, Okay. A little bit too extreme, because what I'm with Gil-galad since season 1. The elves should not leave Middle Earth, because if they leave Middle Earth, then the men will perish under Sauron. They will all fall to Sauron, and that's not something that he wants to do. And this is what an elf king, a high king, should actually have this sort of responsibility towards not only the elves, but like the whole kind of thing, because the elves were kind of like there to, so quote unquote, teach the humans. Basically, they are like more advanced and stuff. But what Aaron is saying is that let's drop everything, let's go to Valinor, and and then like with the implication is that he's doing what his father did, because what his father did was actually return to Valinor and ask for help. So, but he never gets that. He never says, let's just drop everything, go to Valinor and ask for help. Let's ask for the Valar to help us, instead of these rings that were the brainchild of Sauron. He never says that. He never articulates that. So that's for me, like the whole era. I think he's right, but like for me, what he's trying to defend, the position that he's defending, is actually bad, because he's basically giving Middle Earth to Sauron if he convinces Gil-galad to do what he wants to do. Then you have Gil-galad that says, okay, the rings are here, it's already gone, it's already done, why not use it? It's a calculated risk. They know, and he's like, we already know that Sauron, we were deceived, but it's already here. And Sauron, he didn't touch it. That's what Galadriel says. He didn't touch it. And later on, we see with Celebrimbor that actually Sauron has to have some sort of magic thing to do with the forging to actually corrupt it. Right? I'm team Gil-galad, just to be sure.
Okay. Here's the question I have about Galadriel's position. She is absolutely convinced that there's no influence on them, which I don't think is absolutely correct, because
I don't think she's absolutely convinced.
Okay. But regardless of that, she, at the end of season 1 and at the beginning of and in these first 3 episodes, she seems to place a lot of emphasis on the balance. Could the balance of the 3 be something that helps the 3 of them resist the influence of Sauron a little bit, because it is balanced, as opposed to these others, which obviously Sauron is now in Eregion, formulating so that he can use those rings to manipulate the dwarves and the men.
But that's what, like, they were discussing in season 1, right? That they should not do 1, because then like all the power would be to Gil-galad.
The balance was good.
But I really don't think she believes in what she's saying, that they are fine. I don't think she believes that.
Okay. Well, then I'm confused about what she does believe. And I loved, just as long as we're here, I loved Círdan. I thought Ben Daniels did that great. There was so much peace.
He was great.
Just so much peace in that character. I loved him.
He was great.
Do you think it was Sauron's influence, or was it the Valinor or the Valar's influence that rocked that boat?
I really didn't give much emphasis on that boat scene, to be honest.
Okay. Because I did. I thought, okay, well, he's obviously not going to get rid of the rings now because the boat told him not to do it.
I was really figuring out if that's something that he wanted to believe, that he was reading too much into it, this kind of thing. So I actually, in my review, I didn't even say anything about the boat scene. So just that Círdan, he changed his mind midway through it, because that's like the more objective thing. I cannot but Círdan is the wisest of the elves of Middle Earth. So he's so old that he has a beard. And at some point he just gives away his ring to Gandalf.
Okay. Right.
So it might very well be that the ring has an influence, and then later on he recognizes the influence. And I'm saying that because of the lore, but as we know, we cannot just transport the lore into the series. So I'm trying to figure out like what the series is telling me. So it can very well be based on the lore that Kieran recognizes there is an influence. And he even says that like you are actually using something for good. That's what you can do.
Right.
The rings are powerful. That's the nature of the rings. That's the nature of how they were forged. But you can also use them for good. And this goes on. Also, we saw in the trilogy, like the Galadriel, that she actually is tempted with the One Ring. So if you go through about it, yes.
Right. Yeah. See, I don't buy the argument of well, everybody needs nuclear weapons to keep everybody from using them. That's just my thing. But that doesn't mean that I don't love this character. I think that wow, great character, and his entrance in the. You know what though? Here's the thing. Here's a note for Gil-galad and for Círdan. Don't let Elrond scare you into dropping rings, especially when one's going to drop right in front of Galadriel. I mean, obviously, we've seen in the movie and probably even read in the book how the ring kind of has a will of its own. The One Ring I'm talking about. But why wouldn't those other rings also have that? So it was kind of like the ring kind of didn't just happen upon Galadriel's feet. It wanted to be there. It wanted to be chosen by her.
But that's the thing. The rings in the series, they were created first. And in the lore, they were created last.
Right.
This makes a whole lot of difference.
Why?
In terms of, well, because actually it was Celebrimbor who actually forged the rings for the elves.
Right.
Well, because Sauron had gone to Mordor to forge the One Ring, and then he returns to get all the rings. And like Celebrimbor does it in secret. So, and he already, by that point, he already knows that there will be some corruption.
I don't trust this guy at all because
Celebrimbor?
Yeah, Galadriel says, stay away from that Halbrand. What does he do? He lets him in.
No.
Then he gets fooled. He gets fooled by Sauron into thinking that he's got some kind of gift.
At first he tries. At first he tries to say no, but Sauron is Sauron, and he seduces Greenbeak.
Yeah, well, be tougher. Be tougher, Celebrimbor. Be tougher.
Which is the verb that Tolkien uses about Celebrimbor and Sauron. But he always uses this word, the seduction. Like Morgoth seduced Sauron.
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to Sauron, but Sauron was very choice with his words the whole time in these 3 episodes. The way he made oaths, the way he said things. Loved it. It was tricky, sneaky, just like Sauron is. Okay, so that closes this debate. Team Gil-galad is correct. All right, back to spinning the wheel. Where did it land? Where did it land, Priscilla?
All things Khazad-dûm.
Oh, my dwarves. I love my dwarves. They're so good. I felt so bad for Disa. She lost her ability to sing to the stones.
I think the stones don't like her anymore. Not.
Yeah, the stones kind of close their ears to her.
Yeah, they're like, no, girl. No, not anymore. Yeah.
Oh, I do also want to say, just going back real quick, that the actor, what is his name? Benjamin, the guy who plays Gil-galad, he actually sung that song, which was beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, he actually sung it in the studio.
Benjamin Walker.
He sung that, and he had a dialect coach help him with the Elvish and everything. He actually sang that, probably not on the set, but he recorded it in the studio, and then they used it for him to lip sync to when they filmed it. And just like that, Sophia Naveta also does all of the stone singing herself. She goes into the
But
studio and does that.
she's a trained singer. I
Is she
think
an opera
she's
singer?
trained.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's a trained. Yeah,
Okay. Well, that makes
I
perfect
think
sense because
so.
she just it's just magical. All of those things
And
that
she's like, ah.
I
I
know it
felt
broke my
sorry for
heart.
her.
And
I felt
she
so
did that
sorry.
whole losing your voice so well. It's happened to me on so
Yeah.
many gigs where I'm in the
Oh my God.
middle of a backup singing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I
Like,
better back off the mic because my voice just went away. So I
yeah.
just perfectly. It was so accurate. It was scary how accurate it was for me. Nonetheless, man, Durin and his dad, Durin, they got to fix this stuff, man. They're being so stubborn. I love that Deesa's pointing all this stuff out, but man, well, just boneheaded men. What's going on with that?
Yeah, they're dwarfs. That's what they do.
I guess that is what they
Yeah.
do. I
But
did.
I really think Durin the son is actually he's wiser than the father in many ways, I think.
Well, I think he is at the end when he says, "I don't know if I trust this whole thing." For sure to his
Yeah,
dad, and
yeah.
his dad,
That's
yeah,
what I meant. He was like, "It's my duty to bring you like this offer, but I don't think you should go for it."
exactly.
I really like this kind of like, hey, that's what it's all about. It's not my call. Don't do it, man. I really like this. Yeah, like in first season, I liked Giza best. I thought Giza was like, I mean, they are very cute couple. They are both adorable. But I liked Giza best in the first season. Now I'm like all into Durin. Durin is the Giza. You should listen to Durin.
Hmm. Yeah, Disa was the one that said, "Hey, we should talk to your dad about this trade."
She's
Um,
not wrong, but I mean, in retrospect, we have like as an audience member, we have this obviously advantage. Yeah, don't do it, don't go there.
true.
It's not when I say that I liked Giza best in season one than now it's not that I use the wrong words. Like I agree more with Doreen. Like they're both adorable. They're trying their best. There is no,
Yeah. On the other hand, there was a scene with Disa and Daddy Durin, a double D, that uh that I really touched me as far as King Durin goes, because she was talking
Mm-hmm.
about, you're so stubborn and you got your heart all tied up and everything, and I kind of felt bad for him when he said, "Yeah, you're right. I
Yeah.
totally do keep my heart like that." And he seems so resolved, but also sad about it. It just really got to me.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as since we know how this all story kind of all ends up, and you've probably seen some things in trailers as well, it feels just feels like a victim to me
Yeah.
in all
But
respects.
in a way they are,
Yeah,
aren't they? They
yeah.
are. Except for the Númenor. The Númenor people, they deserve what they get.
What else about Khazad-dûm here? Was Durin, the kid, the boy, was
Mm-hmm.
he wrong to take that invitation without talking to his father first?
I don't think he was wrong. No, they sent an invitation. He accepted. He went to see what it was about. He saw right through Anata, and as he said, "Yeah, It's my duty as a dwarf. We have this problem. This is a possible solution that has been offered to us. I'm taking that to my king." So I think he
Okay,
was right. Yeah, I think he was right. I mean, in the first season, he received Aaron.
that's true.
Yeah, no, so he didn't want to,
And look at all
but
the
he
trouble
did.
that caused. They would have never been digging up Mithril. They would have never been disturbing a Balrog. They never would have gotten his dad mad at him in the first place because he dug too deep. Way to go, Durin. I'm Team Daddy now. I'm Team Daddy Durin. Team Double D.
Well, I'm sure he's delighted that you're Team Daddy.
Yeah, I left you speechless, didn't I? There is no retort to that because it's
No,
absolutely correct with an N in front of it.
I would say insane, but anyway,
it's absolutely sane with an N in front of it.
yeah.
Okay, is that about all about Khazad-dûm? Anything else? I loved the mirror system to get the light in. That was cool, and that the way they zoomed into Khazad-dûm to show it in the beginning of episode
It
2.
was nice.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
that's one thing that I wanted to comment. Like they are doing these title cards and these things better this season. It's more smooth, no?
yeah.
And
The Grey Havens, everything
yeah, there's like,
has looked great.
whoo,
Yeah,
yeah. It actually makes you feel that it's part of the story, and the story also feels a bit more epic.
yeah.
I mean, season 1, you have that amazing first episode in Valinor and everything, and the flashback that it was like, it was more dreamlike than epic, in my opinion.
True. I agree with that.
Now it feels really like it's rooted in some reality. It has all these factions and these movements being made. You have a villain, and yeah.
And I'm not sure how much I recall this occurring in season 1, but I really love them using those maps that remind me of Peter Jackson's movies as a way to navigate to tell us where we're going to or what's happening and how it's affecting other things. Just like with as far as Khazad-dûm went, we saw Mordor being all just being disturbing, and and then the black kind of flowing through and getting all the way to Khazad-dûm, and that's when that big collapse on the bridge, which I thought was going to be a Balrog. I'm never right about trailer stuff, so folks, you ought to know that by now. But it was just a big trimmer because of a volcano, miles and miles and miles away. That's at least what we're being told by what's that dwarf's name that is the advisor to the king?
Narvi.
Yeah. That's one of the names you said earlier that I didn't recognize, but okay. So Narvi, I like him too. He's a fun character.
Yeah, he is one of the greatest of the dwarves and smiths.
All right, that's cool. Anything else about Khazad-dûm before we move on?
No, you already mentioned Darby.
Okay.
Darby. Who is Darby?
Like Garvey,
yeah,
Gravy. It's all the same to me.
Gravy. That was like.
So, where did it land, Priscilla? Where did it land?
All things Sauron.
All things Sauron. Your favorite subject.
Yay!
You've got such a crush on Sauron. It makes me really worry about how evil you actually are. So we all know that this is your hero, the hero of your story, because you're so evil. So tell me all things that you liked about Sauron. I loved Fraudwaith Sauron because he was such an idiot. I loved the most Shakespearean idiot I've ever seen. Loved him.
He is like, as I said before, he's a celestial being. We are all living in his world, right?
Yes, he's trying to do good for all of us, right?
Yeah, season 1, he said he has been there the whole time, even before the breaking of the first silence. So what are we to him but children that he needs to take care of us like a good daddy? Okay. Yeah, so we are so beneath him. I can see his point. I can see why he thinks that he would be the best to be the king or the dictator of anything, or the owner of Middle-earth. I can see that, and it's not that I agree with him, and especially his speech was terrible, the way he tried to sold himself to the Orcs. But I think it comes from this place where he's so great, he's so amazing, that he feels that he should not even need to do it. Like that people should immediately recognize his greatness and just hand things to him. So that's like he's a bit naive this way, you know. That's why when he was telling the orcs, listen, guys, you're all ugly, you're all terrible, nobody will accept you. It's my way. Look at me. I am very good looking. I am amazing, and you better follow me. You have nowhere to go. Do you think these human types they are going to embrace you? Not a chance. Do you think the elves are going to embrace you? Not a chance. So it's me or not me. Like you have no choice. You're too ugly to do anything else. And he doesn't seem to realize it's kind of offensive what he's telling these people, these orcs. He's like clueless. He's a naive person who, like, celestial being, I'm sorry. He's a naive Maya, falling Maya, that he's just the best option, you know. That's what he believes. There is no, he's not trying to, he's even so good, man, that he even tells them, listen, some of you will die. He's not even lying to them. He's not saying, hey, everything will be fine. You just need to do what I tell you. He's just saying, no, dudes, you're going to die. No question about it. That's what you're made for.
It's clear to me that Adar and the other orcs, it didn't matter what Sauron said or didn't say. They were going to kill him anyway.
No. There was some point where he was almost convincing them when he said, let's just enslave the humans. Then the orcs said, yeah, let's do that. But then then he said, most of you are going to die. Then I was like, oh my God, there he goes again.
I'm convinced that Adar loved his fellow orcs so much that he planned with them to kill Sauron the whole time, and they would all be free the way that he wants to make them free. Now, here's the other question I have about Sauron. When Sauron shows back up in Mordor after everything's happened, why doesn't Adar recognize him then? Didn't they have a conversation before?
Oh, Matt.
In season 1?
Of course not. No, Halbrand is Halbrand. They got a face to face. Halbrand was told Ada that he did something to him that like, and then Ada's like, "What? Did I kill your family, dude? I killed so many families. I don't know. Like, who are you to me?" They had this moment. But he was supposed to be the king of the Southlands. So and Valdreg.
So that's how he recognized him as. Okay, I get it now.
Valdreg is the second man, is the second in command. Remember, Valdreg knows everything. Valdreg is amazing.
Well, I kept getting vibes that Adar thought he knew who he was, but just didn't do anything about it. That's the why. That's, I mean, that's the kind of vibe that I got. And then I loved Sauron's always using tricky wording. Pledges to the Lord of Mordor. He doesn't pledge to Adar. He pledges to the Lord of Mordor, to himself. Those were great scenes. I did not like the scenes with the warg. They were crappy to me. I don't like the way that warg looks. I know that.
Hey, what about the baby warg? Did you like the baby orc?
I don't like the baby orc, yes. But the warg, the dog-like creature.
Ah, the warg, okay.
I don't like the wargs. Okay, yeah, I know you were talking. No, I thought that was cute. I don't know how it's possible, but I thought it was cute.
Yeah.
I don't know how orcs reproduce. It's a bunch of dead organs.
No, Tolkien said that they do it like the humans and the elves. So
okay,
it's all natural, man.
Orcs have children too, just like everybody else. Yes. All right. Gross. Anyway.
How so? It's natural, Matt. When an orc loves another orc.
Beautiful love story that I don't want to hear is what it is. So okay. So what else about Sauron? Let's get Sauron wrapped up because we've still got a couple of other topics here.
And Sauron is Sauron. Sauron is Halbrand. Sauron is Anata. Sauron is Barbie. Sauron is everything.
I did like his introduction as Anatar. I thought that was so well done. The walking through the flames. It was the literal come to Jesus moment that Celebrimbor had there.
Brimby, I'm not a man, Brimby. And Brimby was like, what? Are you a woman? What are you? No, Brimby, I'm more. I can show you, Brimby.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of that was great. And you know, I've lost all hope in Celebrimbor. He's just so easily manipulated.
I lost all hope on Celebrimbor. I think at some point he will lose all hope of himself too. But it will happen in this season. Poor Celebrimbor.
I'm already there. I mean, it might as well have been season 1 when him and Halbrand / Sauron started making the first 3 rings. I'm kind of like, what an idiot.
Yeah.
Fall for that. You know what? Nothing sells like a good-looking salesman. I mean, if Halbrand wasn't so good-looking, if he just showed up as Fraudway Sauron, I'm not sure that he would have been able to convince Celebrimbor to do all this.
Well, the thing is, if Celebrimbor had just give up and started a family with his assistant that appeared, then this would never have happened, But instead, Celebrimbor was vulnerable and alone, and there comes Anatar telling, I'm going to give you a gift. It was a romantic gesture that it was not meant as a romantic gesture. It was a business association, but Brimby was just alone. He was like, oh, this guy likes me.
Anything else on Sauron?
He's amazing. We love Sauron.
Everybody loves Sauron, just like everybody hates Rand. There's only 2 topics on the wheel left. We don't have to spin it because that just would be silly. Which one do you want to talk about first? I know you don't like Númenor.
I'm just going to listen to you talking about Númenor. How about that? And then I'm going to say that they are all that they deserve what they're going to get.
Okay.
I really hate Earring. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I hate Kemen. I hate Pharazôn. Valendir, Elendil, and Miriel. They are the only ones. They even mistreated Sauron in the first season. Remember that guild of smiths? They were terrible to Sauron.
Yeah.
Well, Sauron was Halbrand back then, but even so.
Yeah, they just didn't recognize him. That's all. If they'd have known he was a saucy Sauron, a double S, then they would have respected him more. So I'll say this about Númenor. That eagle didn't show up for you, Pharazôn. Did not show up for you. It was showing up for Muriel, and you just took advantage of the situation. That's the first thing. Second thing that I will say is, everybody needs to get a life. Lindon can't even express his grief about his own son. He did it all in Middle Earth, and he didn't take the time to show it publicly once he got back to Númenor. And that's why Erin does what she does, or Erin, or however you say her name. That's why she does what she does. I thought that was kind of really clunky. Her just kind of going, you haven't grieved my brother, and him just kind of not saying anything.
You meant to tell me that Elendil pushed whatever her name is to a life of crime just because they didn't have a body to put to rest.
She's standing up for what's correct, though. Muriel shouldn't have that damn Palantir. So, I mean, I don't think it was right for Erin. I don't think it was right for Erin to take it.
She broke in and stole.
She was told by the king that there was something up there. He told her at the end of last season before he died. He said there are things unseen, and the door was open. The door was
He
open.
thought she was his daughter. Let's be honest, that girl is no good.
Hey,
She's taking advantage of the elder. She took advantage of the elder in season 1. Now she's stealing things. What is the next step?
Aaron is
the next step?
Aaron is a sweet soul who has been hurt. She's a victim. She's a victim of these circumstances, which has turned her to make decisions that maybe aren't the best, but still, they're for the right. You cannot have a Palantir. You cannot have it. That's why she brought it to everybody to see. She didn't intend on keeping it. She just wanted to show everybody, hey, see what an evil queen you've got right now. See how evil she is. Let me show you people. And she did.
I think she should. Like, this wave cannot come soon enough.
Let's face it. It's the eagle. It's the eagle's fault. Eagles.
The wave cannot come.
Just
no,
eagles.
The wave. I'm between Númenor and the wave. I'm all pro wave. I'm pro wave. Just get rid of those.
Okay, but what about the Númenor survivors? Because we know that there are several people here, or at least one that's on Númenor and one on Pelargir that will be important in the future. Isildur, the battle with Shelob's relatives, or Shelob, I don't know who it is, but nonetheless, I love that. What I don't understand is, how did he get there? Because he was still under a log the last time I saw him in season 1. He was still under a house. So evidently he escaped, but then got taken by a spider, or the spider came and got him from there and took him back to their lair. I don't understand.
He was walking, trying to go somewhere, and then he went to a cave to sleep, like to be protected from the elements.
Okay.
And it just happened to be Shelob's lair.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't like spiders, so I'm glad that he got away for that. Brago is an absolute hero. Or not Brago. Beric is an absolute hero. Absolutely. Because just like what is it? Brago is the horse that ends up saving Eregion in the Lord of the Rings. Once he falls off the cliff and into the river. In I guess that's the Two Towers. But I love that. I love that they started back at where Elinda let him go. And then they followed him through all of that stuff. The question that I have about Isildur, I mean, Arondir did his thing and saved him, and what is this girl's name?
Estrid.
Yeah, so Estrid stabs poor Isildur, and she's a dark agent. She's trying to, at the end, she's trying to cover up her Sauron's mark.
But that's what I don't understand. Like, because the people that get the mark are either the people that went willingly with Aldreg or the people that got captured. That's what I understood. People that get captured and then they are forced to
take the brand.
Yeah. So which part, from which group she is? She's the group from Valdrek, or she's from the group that got captured and had no other choice? Because I thought it was kind of like, yes, she could be a spy, but she could also be someone who is trying to hide her past and is trying to start a new life, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm like this. I always try to look at the bright side and see good in people or celestial beings.
Or Saurons, yeah. So the other question, of course, that we have about this whole storyline, because is there really anything to say about Arondir except that he's moody because his girlfriend died? And his tricks are still good.
I'm really curious. Do you think they got married before she died?
I don't think so. I don't think they'd had enough
Jeez,
time yet.
oh my God, RNG, he's so unlucky. That's like terrible.
Yeah, that is kind of bad luck.
Yeah.
Not as unlucky as his son Theon or
No,
Theo.
no, no.
Her son
Theo,
Theo.
I really think that he's going to become one of Sauron's lieutenants at some point, Theo.
So you are then, are you Theon or are you Theoff?
I don't understand. What is the difference?
Well, Theon means that you're
Mm-hmm.
pro Theo. Theoff, they both have THEO in them, is that you're anti Theon. Theo. Pardon.
Which one is you, Matt? Because then I have to be the opposite. Isn't that how this thing works?
Right. I'm totally Theon. And here's why.
Okay, so I'm Theo. Okay.
Somebody's got to befriend these Ents now so that they'll at least listen to Merry and Pippin an age later.
Mm-hmm.
So why not an idiot like Theo who will let the Ents see how pathetic these other beings are and have a little empathy for them so that when Merry and Pippin come along, they'll listen to them, sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Theo it's going to start hating like everything because that's what teenagers
And why
do.
wouldn't you? Your mom died. You don't know who your dad is. Them stupid elf is coming in and trying to be foster dad. Just get out of here. You know what you're doing. You started to handle yourself just fine when all of those other thieves, horse thieves, and everything were all around. And you've got trees for friends.
But
I mean,
you know
be a friend
what?
of the trees.
Teenagers, they all have some sort of like not obsessions, but like they all have their callings, like things that they really like to do. They mostly don't like to do things, but they have things that they like to do. For instance, there are some people that they get very into music. There are people that get into drawing or whatever, or like fashion. Theo doesn't seem to have any interests.
Mm-hmm.
He's just hateful. That cannot be very healthy. And he's shown to have talent to be a healer. And I don't just like, yeah, you should be a healer, like your mom. And we saw that he has talents. He definitely has the skills and he knows because he saw his mother working, so he should be. But he's not interested. So what does Theo want?
Oh, what
besides
teenager
being...
is interested in anything other than, the top 40?
I already said that teenagers, they have one big interest and all other things is like,
I knew lots of teenagers who were fascinated with knives, and that's what we saw him be in season 1. I think he's just fine, and the Ents will love him.
Okay. I don't argue anymore. Like
no arguing with me about Theo. Pro Theo.
No, yeah.
Theon, ladies and gentlemen, Theon, if you have a disagreement with that. And I'm sure that you do, at Bus Blockbuster on the social medias.
You said yourself that this part of the story you were very interested in, I didn't. This part of the story, I'm like, oh my God, I hate everything here.
Theo. You need to pay attention to Theo. Yeah.
When he's going to grow his beard? Do you think there will be?
when he's going to become one of the wraiths.
Yeah, look.
You'd have to be a king to be a wraith.
Takes 2 years to make, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so, he'll be able to grow a beard by the next time.
Yeah.
The next season.
He's going to be an old man when this series ends. He's going to have like at least 4 kids.
All right. So the only thing about all the rest that I wanted to talk about was the opening credits. If there's anything else that you want to throw in there, that's fine. But this sequence was a little bit different. They've added some red color to the rocks and everything. The music is the same. It's still Howard Shore's theme. But I thought it was a lot more interesting visually. I used to just skip the intro once they established it in the first season. This time around, it's only was in the beginning of episode 2 and the beginning of episode 3, but I'll watch it every time just because I find it captivating. I find it calming. It's like watching ants build ant farms in your little glass container. It's wonderful. But I'm sure that there were some symbols and everything that were in there.
Oh yeah.
So what did I miss with that that you caught?
I caught nothing, Matt. I watched it on a very small laptop. We already had this discussion. Sometimes I don't see what you see, and you have to say, Priscilla, you're not. What's the problem with you? You're so poor. Buy some.
So none of those symbols meant anything to you that you could tell. I just thought you were such a lore head, you would probably know.
Well, I would know if I had seen them, but obviously I didn't.
I'm watching them on a tiny little screen. I can't see them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Sorry that I'm poor.
Okay, folks. Obviously, I'm clueless. So please let me know at Bus Blockbuster, or you can send messages to at the word double the letters PHQ. You can leave comments in our YouTube videos. We would love it if you do that as well. Anything else? Last call for episode discussion, because we've been at this for a while. Whatever you feel like we missed.
I don't think we missed a lot. I think we are doing a great job here, Matt. A great job.
I always am, of course.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
All right. Then 3 words is next.
Well, elves heart bling.
Elves heart what?
Bling. Like.
Oh. Well, I thought you would have just put "I love Sauron," and that would have been the word of that would have been the end of it. Mine was a triple P.
It's triple P.
Yeah. Peril paced powerfully. I like the way they spread the stories out over the 3 episodes. I really enjoyed that. I thought that there was something in each one of them that really caught your attention. Like I said, there were some storylines that just kind of fell to the wayside for me. But the episodes never got completely uninteresting to the point where I wanted to turn them off. And I'll be honest, Priscilla, you know this because we've talked about it in emails. I really didn't know if I even wanted to cover this season. I mean, I was kind of like done with it after season 1. But you said that you talked to some people who had found bits that they had seen more encouraging, and so that's why I stuck with it. And I'm glad I did, because I think this already is off to a much better start than season 1 was. Maybe it's because I'm more invested in the characters. I don't know, but I'm still feeling much stronger about this season so far than I did about the first 3 episodes of season 1.
The thing is, this whole thing of waiting 2 years makes people a little bit antsy, because when we were covering the first season, we were like, it has a lot of problems, but it's also entertaining. Like, and and we had discussions of 2 hours, 3 hours, almost like episodes. So it was there were things there that we could actually engage and talk about it. It's not like it was a completely snooze fest. It was kind of okay.
Right.
Thing is, when you factor in that it could have been so much better had they not made so many mistakes, you kind of feel like a little bit disheartened, because this is Tolkien. They should have done a much better job with but then you had to wait 2 years, and a lot of people were like, I'm not going back, because 2 years, and it's a problem they are having now, like with the streaming, because even before, like with Game of Thrones, they managed to do each season per year. Because it was HBO, it was another animal. It was like cable TV. It was something else. So you had to do it or else. But with streaming now, it's so much content that they can do that. And I'm pretty sure that has to do with lots of like things like residuals and all this stuff. Because they don't release the data, they don't release the numbers with the streaming. So you have it's like a whole thing. But from my standpoint, from Alge's standpoint, it's insane that you have to wait 2 years. Of course, like half of people that actually enjoy first season, like on a 7 out of 10 basis, they were like, "What? Why? I thought it was gone. I thought it was just, you have this impression that it was just like a mini series at some point."
Right.
I don't know about like I'm watching Foundation, and it's also like that. It's also
Right.
2 years.
Right.
And you're watching House of the Dragon, which is also 2 years.
And Wheel of Time is also 2 to 3 years.
You see what I'm saying? It's like, how can you keep up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things are bad. But let's talk about something that's good. And that is our Ring of Power Award. We're going to give the one ring. Well, maybe not the one ring. But we're going to give some Rings of Power Awards to the storyline and the characters that we thought were the best out of these 3 episodes. Priscilla, let's start with do you have a storyline or just a character? You can do either or both.
I actually, I was going to give to one character, but coming to think of, there is a second character in that storyline that is also good.
Can't guess who that is.
So I'm talking about the elves, in particular Elrond and Círdan.
Okay.
They were like, I will give them the Ring of Power. Oh,
Círdan got one.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Maybe Círdan I should eliminate because he already got one. So I will give to Elrond, who, poor guy, he didn't want those rings. He really did not want those rings.
Yeah. He's smart.
And not only, he's this. In some cases, he's the voice of reason, but he's also like a little bit concerned about Galadriel and Sauron and what that relationship meant. He's confused because Galadriel is married and Sauron, as in Halbrand, was always with her, and he's an elf or half elf, so this kind of relationships don't exist in the world. So he knows something fishy happened. Now he knows, like, what is going on? Why are you being so weird? And I have to say, the first scene that they were like riding the horses and Galadriel was trying to
grab the rings from her.
Yeah, I thought they were playing. I thought they were like, oh, they are so good. I was also, because of these 2 years of wait, because they were picking up straight from where they left off with the rings. And I was like, oh, what they're doing while they are there? What is this kind of... And I was like, oh no, they're going to Lindon, of course.
Okay, well, obviously my Ring of Power has to go to Theo. Nobody deserves it more than him. He's gonna need something. He's gonna need something to help him with those Ents to make sure that they understand and love him.
Are you serious? You're going to give to Theo of all people? Oh my god! What a 180! Oh my god! Wow.
Theo gets a Ring of Power. He needs it. He's in a sad state without it. Give him a Ring of Power. No, I'm
shocked.
My favorite storyline was the Sauron storyline. Obviously, just running all the way through it.
Oh my god!
So that's so good. That storyline gives, but I'm still giving the ring for character. I'm giving it to Theo. For a storyline, I'm giving it to Sauron.
Give Theo nothing, please. Sauron. He needs a Ring of Power, and you know that.
He's gonna be just fine. Trust me. Musical analysis. Here we go. We're gonna talk about, speaking of power, somebody with a powerful human voice. The female in this podcast has a powerful human voice. It overrules me in every single thing. Priscilla's voice. But we're not talking about that in music. We're just talking about the power of the women's voice. the musical analysis today, we're going to be talking about Bear McCreary's use of the power of the female voice throughout all three of these episodes. One of the cases actually uses one of the actresses in the show, and that is, of course, Sofia Navetta, who is performing the Stone Singers performance that you can find on the official Season 2 official soundtrack from Bear McCreary. I think you can only find it on Amazon Music right now, but it's a wonderful performance, and I'm not really going to talk about it too much, just to say that that was actually her. I don't know if it was done actually on the stage and then recreated in the studio later, or if it was created in the studio first and then she just kind of lip synced it. If you look at the inside the episode for that particular episode, it looks like they went into the studio first and recorded it there. And then they had that to go along with, to guide them as they were filming the sequence where she was trying to make the light shafts come back, and they were successful for a moment and it didn't work. It's a wonderful piece, but it's very just kind of modal. It doesn't really need to be explained. We'll probably not hear it again. Still, I thought it was a very powerful performance. The one performance that I do want to focus on this time around is the performance of a theme called Rhûn, which you can also find that on the official Season 2 soundtrack. That one is when the Stranger and Nori and Poppy are making their way through to the east into Rhûn, and we start to hear these female voices, and there's a lot of percussion at some point and a little bit of orchestral accompaniment as well. But I just want to focus on the melody of that, because what it does is it gives us a new flavor of music to talk about, and that is the Phrygian mode of music. First of all, the melody sounds like this. And I actually just wanted to kind of barely touch on the root as we were playing those notes that sounded kind of like I was sliding off. I really wasn't. I was trying to play them at the same time, but I didn't want the root, which is what we're akin to hearing, to dominate the sound of that, what we call a flat second, because that is the principal note of that particular melody. Yet they are both held out for the same period of time, and so it makes them sound like they really clash. What gives you more of a clarity of what kind of harmony is going on there, rather than just somebody singing a wrong note or somebody singing a right note, is the harmony that Bear does place underneath it, which implies a D minor chord. So that melody, the harmony underneath it, sounds like this. So that's centered around this chord. But as you could tell from the beginning of the melody, the home key, so to speak, the tonic, is actually this. Normally, those two chords cannot exist in the same place. Well, they can, but with this particular scale, it implies a particular mode, especially since that last E chord is the one that is tonicized, the one that feels like it's home. The only mode where all of those notes are present is the Phrygian mode of the C scale, or you can think of it as the 5-5 of an A minor scale, or just the 1-1 of an E weird scale, I suppose. But the scale sounds like this. That way you can get the two chords that I played for you earlier, and you can also get those kind of melody notes all within the same context of a key. And Phrygian mode is great because it feels exotic, mainly because of that flat second. Normally you would hear an F sharp, and in fact, in the melody in the beginning, you do hear the F sharp. But then when it goes to that D minor chord, then you get the sense that things feel slightly more exotic, and the Phrygian mode is what helps that to occur. Of course, the other thing that makes this thing sound really exotic is the voices themselves. And this is performed by, of course, Bear McCreary and the orchestra, but the singers are the mystery of the Bulgarian voices. A lot of people have become very fascinated with Bulgarian choirs and everything because of the timbre and the way that these voices kind of easily mix with a lot of real dissonances. I know that Lauren Balfe, who is somebody else who I cover for Wheel of Time, as well as Jacob Collier, who is a singer and a cappella performer and wonderful pianist and wonderful arranger and all of that. They've all become fascinated with this sound. But this particular group is called The Mystery of the Bulgarian Voices. Le Mystère des Voix Bulgares, I believe, is how their French website puts it. So that is the name of the group. And once again, Season 2 official soundtrack now on Amazon Music for sure. I'm thinking you'll be able to get it everywhere else soon. At any rate, that's musical analysis for this week. I'd check out those voices on some of their other stuff. It's really good. Don't have any feedback, ladies and gentlemen. Don't have any. Why? Let's fix that. At Bust Blockbuster on the social medias or at the word double the letters PHQ, Facebook, Threads, the site formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky. I think they're everywhere. So just find them and complain to them about how bad Matt, conducts a podcast. Maybe they'll fire me, and then I won't have to worry about doing something for nothing. So don't fire Priscilla though. Don't drag her into this mess. Let her and Bubba keep doing stuff. Somebody should fire me. That's all that we
fire yourself. I can fire you.
Fire me.
Oh, ladies and should we have a firing, like a firing scaldron?
You're fired. You're fired like a ring. You're fired like it's a cauldron making a ring. Exactly. We'll become that stuff. Sure. That's all we got, folks. Priscilla, what have you been doing on your YouTube channel? Are you covering Lord of the Rings with your review? All right.
Yeah. Just like the way I always do, like with my crap laptop, I just do some observations. Thing is, I miss a lot of things because my tiny eyes on my tiny screen, as we already discussed it. But it's a good way to engage with some friends since I don't have any account on Blue Sky, Threads, or Twitter. By the way, they are going to take off the air in Brazil, Twitter, thank God. And yeah, so it's all good. I love Tolkien. I really like Rings of Power. I'm very happy they are back. But as we said, 2 years of wait. It's crazy. I might die in 2 years. So I cannot make any promises.
I might die in 2 days, Priscilla. Come on. I mean, it's like, that's not something to say. Anybody could die like in 2 hours. So let's not say that because we want to at least finish season 2 for crying out loud.
I just want to alarm people. It's like, it's impossible to cover anything these days.
Well, Priscilla also joins me for the Wheel of Time stuff. And we've still got, we're at best for season 3 or getting book 4. So that means we'll still have 10 books to cover. And
imagine that we are going to be old. Incredible. Yeah.
Some of the actors on that show will be applying for Social Security by the time they get done filming that show.
I think
I know
if we get season 4, I don't doubt that we are going to have some more substitutions in the cast. I mean, people are going to do other stuff.
They got to survive.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this time around on Bustin' Blockbusters. Thanks for joining me. That's Priscilla. I'm Matt. See ya.
Thank you.